Hello, Econ Students, G here to talk to you and answer the question, what are taxes? First thing we have to look at are what are the features of a tax system, made up of fairness, simplicity, efficiency, certainty, and a balance between tax revenue and tax rates. Well, the government's authority to tax. So we authorize the federal government through the Constitution and our elected representatives in Congress to raise money in the form of taxes. Now, taxation is the primary way that the government is going to collect money, right? And taxes give the government money it needs to operate. The first power granted to Congress is the power to tax, which is the basis of all federal laws, including all the programs that they decide to put in place or take out of service. Now, there are some limits on government and their ability to tax. So the purpose of a tax must be for the common defense or the general welfare, meaning that people have to benefit from it at large, and it can't be for individual interests. So a senator can't have something put into place, or a representative cannot have tax levied that they personally benefit from, but the masses of the U.S. citizens do not. Now, federal tax must be the same in every state, and the government cannot tax exports. They can only tax imports. So we can't tax the items going out of the country. We can only tax them coming in. There's a few different types of taxes, and so first we're going to look at is a progressive tax. And economists describe taxes based on their structure and according to the tax base. So a progressive tax is a tax for which the percentage of income paid in tax increases as income increases, meaning your tax rate gets higher as you make more money. So if we look over here at the example, all right, so the total taxes paid if you were under $25,000 is 15%. If you make that $25,001 up to the $50,000, your tax rate becomes 25%, and then anything over that $50,001 and up is 30% tax. There are a proportional tax, and that's a tax for which the percentage of income paid in taxes remains the same at all income levels. It's also known as a flat tax, meaning if we say there is a tax that's 7%, then that means no matter what income you make, you take that income and you figure out how much 7% of that is, and that's the taxes you owe. And then there's sort of regressive tax, and that tax is kind of like the opposite of a progressive tax. And so the percentage of income paid in taxes decreases as your income goes up, meaning as your income goes up, you pay less taxes. A sales tax is regressive because higher income households spend a lower proportion of their income on taxable goods and services, so in turn they're going to pay a smaller percentage of their total income in taxes. So different taxes have different tax bases. So there's the individual income tax, and that's paid based on a person's individual earnings. There's a corporate income tax, which is based on how much a company makes. There's a property tax, and that's based on how much land you own and the size of your home. All right? And there's a sales tax, which is based on the goods and services that are sold. Delaware does not have a sales tax on items. So there's elasticities of demand and tax effects. Well, taxes affect more than just the people who pay them. So producers often pass on a portion of the tax to the consumer. So as a consumer, you are paying a portion of the tax that's put on to a producer. So generally, the more elastic the demand, inelastic, meaning, remember, with that rubber band, you're not going to be able to pull it any larger. The demand is pretty constant. The more easily the seller can shift the tax to consumers, meaning it's a good that the demand is going to be high on no matter what the price is. So we take a brief look at tax rates in different countries and this percentage of earnings paid in income and Social Security tax. So when we look at that, this is based on a single taxpayer with no children. So when we look at Mexico, we're at 5%. We jump to Ireland, 14.8%. Come down to the United States, 23.4%. Go to the United Kingdom, the UK, That's 26.8. We take a look at Denmark and Germany, you're getting 40.9%, 42.7% respectively. And if you look at the countries down at the bottom, from Canada down to Germany, these are countries that offer a large amount of social services to their people, universal health care, and other assistance as well. So those people naturally pay a higher tax rate to offset the cost of those public services and public goods. So we need to figure out what makes a tax a good tax. And some would argue that there's no such thing as a good tax, but there really is. And so those characteristics, first of all, are simplicity. And the law should be very easy for people to understand. Efficiency. The tax should be able to be collected without spending too much time or money on it. It shouldn't take the tax collectors very long to get it together. Certainty. Well, it should be clear when the tax is due and how much is due and how to pay that tax. And there's no guessing game. And then equity. The tax system should ensure that no one bears too much or too little of the tax, that it's pretty equal. And then how do you determine fairness? Well, they propose two different ideas about how to measure the fairness of a tax, okay? And the benefits received principle holds that a person should pay taxes based on the level of benefits he or she expects to receive from the government. So the gasoline tax is an example of a benefits received principle. You pay a tax on the gas that you use, you're going to benefit from being able to move your car from point A to point B, but you're also going to be taxed to offset the cost of pollution. So the ability to pay principle holds that people should pay taxes according to their ability to pay. And so that one offsets saying, well, if you have a higher income, then you should have a higher ability to pay than someone who is of a lower income. Good taxes generate enough but not too much revenue. Remember, revenue is the money that comes into the government via taxes. And citizens' needs are met, but not to such an extensive degree that the tax discourages production. So you shouldn't be offering so many services that people aren't willing to work and produce any longer. So when we wrap this up, it's plain and simple with the facts. The government has the need, authority, and power to levy taxes. And taxes are categorized on the basis of their structure and the tax base. Taxes are evaluated as good or bad based on their simplicity, efficiency, certainty, and equity, and on whom bears the burden of the tax. So if we're going to generalize this whole section, we can easily say governments try to devise tax systems that can be considered good and fair, although people disagree about what those terms mean. Well, that's all I have for you today on what are taxes.